Let's talk about topic one. We have a female vice president and over 20 female heads of state, and these are outliers instead of the norm. Why do women not get the same deal as men? Be it sports, entertainment, or politics, have gender roles really shifted since women led? Can women be as free as men to own their power and express themselves? Is there a double standard? Let's discuss. What say you guys?
I absolutely believe that there is a double standard between men and women. It kind of sucks to talk about this today in particular because we are missing like the straight male point of view. I think that would be interesting.
Right.
But I absolutely believe that there's a double standard. I think that if we really wanted to get into it, there's even a double standard. I think it's most blatantly for me reflected, especially when it comes to like the gay side of things for gay boys versus gay girls, men and women, because gay men get everything.
Noah's Ark and L Word are on an even playing field in my eyes. It was terrible acting on both ends. The production was trash. I'm still offended at the basketball scene tournament that they had in the L Word. Like, it's equivalent, but we don't have a lot of things. You guys get all of the things.
Yeah, but at the same time, we may get a lot of things, but it's more so she has to be a lesbian than it is to be a gay guy. Like lesbians, straight people love lesbians more than they love gay guys. So like, there's that.
I am not going to fight you on that because I do believe that. I think I'm welcomed in more spaces than you are.
Right.
Do you guys think that that has anything to do with male privilege or?
I think so. Cause with lesbians, like it's that fantasy. Like, straight guys love attractive women who like women. So unless you're like a total stud and where you look like, one of the guys, then you're welcome in some spaces. Even but the thing is with women can have deep voices and have, be tomboys and still be, accepted because you don't know for sure. If you're a gay guy and you have a slight lisp or your voice is a little higher than normal, or you have a lip wrist, then I'm like, oh no, you're a faggot. You're like a girl. Because I've had people come to me and say to me like, oh Michael, you're a guy. You're a gay guy. If you were to fight a girl, would it be the same thing? I'm like, no, it's not. I'm still a guy.
Right.
Or they come to you with that bullshit ass. Oh, so which one of you guys is the girl? And I'm like, we both have dicks, so we're both guys.
People are stupid.
I want to point something else out. Is that there's kind of a similarity in like masculine presenting women, gay women, because they, even for myself, like I don't consider myself a stud, but I definitely, if anything, I'm more like androgynous than anything. And when guys have like hit on me and I reject them, their immediate thing is to try to make me one of the dudes, and they want me to be as terrible as they are when it comes to like objectifying women and that type of thing. But then also sometimes I've had people become really aggressive because they don't know what I am, or
right.
Like I've had people like scream obscenities and like, well, we don't know what the fuck you are, or about like get the fuck out, like that type of stuff where it scares them because they're not sure what's happening. And that's not my problem.
That's wow. That's just awful.
Yeah.
Definitely a problem. I think that the male ego has a lot to do with women not having equal opportunities in life as well, because I feel like they're somehow intimidated by like this the feminine air and it actually being assertive and actually having an opinion about things sometimes.
Well, because if you think, go ahead.
Or I was gonna say, added to that, when you're a woman who's presenting as a man, and you're like, you there's one level where you kind of automatically start getting a certain respect from the men too, because they're like, after a certain point, we're like, okay, well, she's not gonna fuck with me like that, so I'm gonna just go ahead and treat her like she's one of the dudes. There are girls that sneak in, or not sneak in, but are able to go into those spaces because of that. But then there's also like the extra, even more added layer of like, for me being taller, I think sometimes men automatically feel threatened by that because I'm taller than most guys that I know.
Right.
Do you think that makes them more aggressive toward you, or no? Or
Definitely more aggressive. Definitely more aggressive. And it's not always like mean aggressive. Sometimes it's just they become more competitive with me, and I'm not competitive. Like, I don't give a fuck.
That's the one thing I never got about straight guys. Like, in like their need to be competitive with lesbian, masculine presenting lesbians, or even with gay guys. Like, like, you feel threatened by us. Why? Like, I don't want what you have. I don't want you. So what's the problem?
Right. I might want your girlfriend though.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
And see, for me, it's like it's opposite. I'm like, look, I don't. For me, it's like I don't want you. I don't want your girlfriend. As a matter of fact, I'm the reason why you probably have your girlfriend because there's less of me out there in the world to compete with. So what's the problem?
Right.
You should be thanking me.
Right.
Brittany, what say you?
So I'm actually going to take it to a different area just because when I first thought of this topic, I thought more along the lines of sexual empowerment. And so as a straight female, what we get a lot is the controlling factor of our bodies. We have to do the birth control. We have to do this. We have to do that. And I don't know about you guys, but my birth control before my insurance kicked in was $140.
Oh my God.
Why is my birth control so high when a condom is so cheap?
I got a drawer
Let's
full.
face it, like, there are certain things that women have to go through, and I mean, just with my health things that I've got going on, I have to have birth control. Not because I want to have sex or not, but because physically I need it. So my question is, why is it that there are certain aspects of sexual health, sexual reproduction, when, let's face it, I can get pregnant once a month. A man can get 50 girls pregnant in a month.
Right.
Why is there such a difference?
I think again it goes back to the patriarchal cycle. Like you think about it, like going back into history. Like look at the Italian Renaissance, for instance, my favorite era in history. My favorite person from the Italian Renaissance is Cesare Borgia. He had a wife, had one daughter with his wife, had 11 outside children of on his marriage.
Hell no.
But you think about it though, men are in power. Like even though women actually now outnumber men, they've outnumbered men for a long time, whatever. The men are the ones in power, so they're the ones saying the rules and saying the tone. And again, it goes back to the male ego. As a man, if you go out and sleep with somebody else, whatever, and come back with the receipt, my ego is now bruised. But a woman is still expected to, even though you have all these outside babies on me, to still be, oh, well, that's okay. Even going back to those days, you look at it, the women who had those babies, unless the man who did it with them, whatever, set them up for success financially, they were outcast, they were shunned, they were, made to feel less than. And nothing's really changed nowadays. It's like men, they try to be more on equal footing, whatever, but that whole DNA dies hard. Like the idea that as a man, what I say goes, it still factors into their mind somehow. And it's crazy because I remember like me talking to Shantara about Betty Davis saying that men have to lead things. Men are the ones that can liberate women. And to a certain extent, it's true. Until men get on board 100% with women's liberation and equal rights, this is always going to be a problem.
I don't think that they ever. I mean, not that they ever will, but I think that we can look at all facets of life, and I don't think that anybody with privilege and power is willing to give that up. I just don't. I don't think that it'll ever be something that they give up easily.
I agree, because like the way I see it is, going back to so you can look at civil rights, things like that, whatever. People are under the impression that once you get rights, their rights are being eclipsed, and they feel threatened by that.
No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about what you just said.
Can you repeat what you said, Michael?
Yeah, because like the saying goes pretty much when the people who are minorities or downtrodden, when they start getting rights, the people in power feel like their rights are about to be eclipsed.
Yeah. I struggle with that too, because it's just like, what are you afraid that they're going to just become better or more important than you? Like, what are you so afraid of with all these other groups just getting equity?
I think the fear with equity is they fear that what you did to them, they're going to do back to you.
Yeah.
Because like I found it interesting, go back to like we're talking about like female empowerment, things like that, whatever. Like looking at Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria was the head of her own country, whatever, but she deferred to her husband. Prince Albert. Meanwhile, when her son King Edward took over, he cheated on his wife, left, right, and center, so on and so forth, whatever. He didn't defer to Alexandra not one bit.
Yeah.
The Bible says, the man's the head, the woman's the neck, whatever. But I'm like, but what good is it being the neck if the head's going to do what the head's going to want to do?
I was even watching like a little video just earlier today of Tobe what's his name? He's an artist. Toby. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm sorry. I should take the time to learn it. He's the one that sings. Did you guys see that video? The "Try Jesus, but don't try me."
Yes.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, you should look it up because that's a funny song.
I don't know her.
It says like the lyrics say, "Try Jesus, but don't try me, because I throw hands." So anyway, I was watching a video of him. Well, it was his wife speaking, and her just talking about how she knew that he was going to be a great father because he's just a good man, and how he leads the household and all of that. And she gives his input, but he makes the decisions. And I'm just sitting here, and every time I see this kind of shit, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, you just leave the decision up to someone else. On one hand, like, it's kind of easy to, like, put that on someone else, right? Because then it becomes, well, whatever happens, it's up to them. They made the decision, so it's their fault. But also, like, that's unfair to them and to you. You know what I mean? Like, as an individual, like, I would be upset if someone else made a decision for me that didn't turn out right.
Yeah, but I actually have to push back on that a little bit.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because like my thing is like this, like, you know, being a feminist, as I am, that means you made that choice. Now, it's one thing the choice was not given to you. You made the choice to submit to somebody and let this person make the decisions for you. Now, if this was a situation where you do not have a say in the matter at all, and this is just what you're, like, in the Middle East, things like that, whatever, where you're just like, look, this is what you do, and that's it, I'd be in agreement with you. But if you made that choice, I can't sit there and say to you, it's not right, it's not good, it's not kosher, because ultimately that was your decision. Like, if you're like women that choose to be housewives, you know, they get a bad rap, you know, versus working women. And it's like, they made that choice. They empowered themselves to say, this is what I want, this is what I'm okay with. It may not be something that you want or you agree with, but that's what works for me. And that's what I think feminism is all about, making that choice. I don't have to agree with your choice, I don't have to like your choice, but that's your choice, and I respect you for making the choice that you made.
That's a very good point, and I do agree with that. The only thing that bothers me about, like, that particular situation is so many people are raised with certain beliefs.
Right.
And it's hard to just free yourself from those beliefs sometimes. So my question becomes, are you doing this because you really truly believe this and it's fine with you and it's just easier for you? If that's just what it is, then cool. But are you doing this because you were raised to believe that this is the way you're supposed to do it, and if you don't, you're some type of sinner or, you know, rebel, and you're doomed to hell or whatever? You know what I mean?
That's fair.
That's what I have to wonder that, because if you're doing it for the sake of, like, getting into heaven, girl, I gotta tell you, you're missing out. And I don't think you're not gonna go to heaven because you don't adhere to this. You know what I mean?
You might go to hell. I mean, you may not go to heaven because you followed somebody who you weren't supposed to follow at a certain point.
Valid point.
Right.
You can't follow. I feel like, especially once children are bought into, I've seen, and I don't agree with this. I don't agree that anyone should come before your children once you bring life into this world.
Right.
And there are some women who feel like their husband should come before their children, but to me that does not make sense. Those
At all.
children didn't ask to be here, for one.
Right.
And for two, they can't fend for themselves. Your husband can fend for himself. And if he today or tomorrow decides that he wants, and don't get me wrong, like, I do believe that there are certain things that a man should just, you know, like, I don't feel like I should have to change them.
Right.
I don't think I should have to do that. Like, that's something that I don't feel like I should have to do. I work and my boyfriend works, but my boyfriend doesn't make me pay the rent. He doesn't make me pay any portion of the rent, and I respect that. But if he were the type of person who wanted me to, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. Because I know that there are some women who feel like men should just pay for everything and they shouldn't have to, you know, pay for anything. But I don't want to, like, go off topic or anything. But I don't subscribe to following anyone without actually understanding where the fuck I'm going.
That's fair. But, like, it's even see the music, like, going back to Cardi B's song WAP. I was actually reading an interview she gave, and she said that she felt uncomfortable with the lyrics when they were presented, because, like, we all know she doesn't write her own stuff, not all the way anyway. When lyrics were presented to her, she felt uncomfortable because of the material that was given to her. but yet and still we're okay. The people slandered. One congressman said this is what happens when fathers aren't around. They're going to hell, so on and so forth. He's a congressional candidate, whatever. But it's okay for men to objectify women. It's okay for men to walk around with their shirts off and talking about I fucked this bitch, I fucked that bitch, she was a hoe, blah 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 blah. But when a woman does it, suddenly it's a problem. But I find it interesting that most people that give it the most heat are other women.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
That's crazy to me also. Sorry.
Okay, so it's really strange to me like how people actually maneuver that way. I guess it's like kind of like how you can be a black person but hate other black people. It's just like I don't get that shit.
I think on that end though, it's gonna be very subjective because as we're talking about particularly the WAP song, you know very well, I'm extremely prudish.
Right.
It is very, very hard for me to talk about certain aspects of sexuality and things like that. So being that I am extremely prudish, it makes it more difficult to even sing the song, let alone sing it in front of my mother or someone like I truly
I do with my mom.
Respect and revere. I don't think it at all. But it's how we were raised, and back to the point of kind of what you guys were saying before of should someone follow a man or anything just because that's what they chose to do. A lot of people were raised a certain way, and we don't know how to exactly get out of
that mindset
our own way in order to truly make that decision.
Right.
So,
well, that's fair because it looks like my dad. He's very much like against all that type of stuff, whatever. So when Pretty Ricky came out, he wasn't with it. When Plies came out, he definitely wasn't with it. So like those things do happen, but at the same time, it's like for instance, like when Pretty Ricky came out with Grind on Me and House and My Body, Your Body, and Plies came out with Miss Pretty Pussy and things like that, whatever. Bella Sparks came out with Miss New Booty, whatever. That wasn't an issue. But we have issue with How Many Licks from Lil' Kim, My Neck, My Back from Kaya, and WAP. And it's like, look, sexuality is sexuality is sexuality. And I guess for me, personally, given the fact that my sister is a sex therapist, it's helped me, it's helped inform my decisions on how I look at sexuality. Because once upon a time, I was very, very conservative. I'm like, you're not a lady if you speak like that. You're a hoe if you have more than one sexual partner, all that stuff, whatever. But it's like, my sister's like, look, Michael, these things are a natural part of life, whatever. Doesn't matter who you are. Women have needs. Women have wants just like men do. So why hold them to a different standard because they have the same wants and desires that I would have? Thank you to my wonderful co-host for joining me on this discussion. And thank you for listening. Join us in the comments to keep the discussion going. If you have any questions you'd like the host to answer or ask Justin for our next topic, please put it down in the comments section. Let's keep talking.